Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Draft is Thursday, and of course we're going to be keeping a very keen eye on what the Saints do at 29. I'm also going to be interested to see what Sean Payton does in his first draft as the head coach of the Broncos. Well, Sean Payton was having his pre-draft press conference, and pre-draft press conferences are pretty notorious for not saying anything. Like, you do months and months and months of work to lead up to the draft, scouting and interviews and evaluation. Like, why right before the draft are you going to give away your strategy for everything you're going to do? But they're all obligated, coaches and GMs, to do these pre-draft press conferences. So Sean Payton having his first pre-draft press conference with Denver, and some people are reading this as him throwing a little shade at the New Orleans Saints when talking about analytics departments. Give a listen.
I would say this: the analytics department is something that is on a different level here, and I'm like that driver of a new car that still hadn't figured out how to operate, how to get the seat warmers on. I mean, it's pretty impressive. And it's new for me in a good way. And I'm just talking about the efficiency of the process. It was just, we weren't as far ahead when we were looking at some of these players as to being able to pick up and access the information as quickly.
Okay. Maybe that's not Sean Payton throwing shade. Maybe that's just Sean Payton being honest. Maybe it was an inadvertent slight. The thing that I would remind Sean Payton is that he was the head coach in New Orleans for 16 years. So if anything was subpar, it's his fault. I do think it's kind of funny, though, that Sean Payton kind of lauds the analytics for Denver when, if I were to ask any Saints fan, hey, over the last 16 years, what has been the most successful part of the Saints draft process? Wouldn't we all, to a person, acknowledge it's their ability to hit in the mid and late rounds and even undrafted free agents? Like, wouldn't we all say that? More so than even the first round picks, where there have been plenty of whiffs. There have been a lot of there have been a lot of guys like who was the Hau'oli Kikaha? That's who I was trying to remember. There have been a lot of Hau'oli Kikahas at the top of drafts for the Saints. You know what they've done exceptionally well? Zach Strief, Marcus Colston, round 7. Jermon Bushrod, round 4. Carl Nix, 5th round, became an all-pro interior lineman for you. Jari Evans, round 4. I look at what the Saints have done primarily in their drafts, and that's where we talk about the real success of the Saints drafts. You found Kenny Stills in round 5. He became a very good professional receiver. P.J. Williams in round 3. Tyler Davison, who you cut, but became a starter in the NFL, in round 5. David Onyemata, you got him in round 4. Trey Hendrickson was in round 3, along with Kamara and Zaloni. I mean, you found Boston Scott in round 6, Will Clapp in round 7. Those guys are still on NFL rosters. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, C.D. Deuce was a 4th rounder. Caden Ellis was a 7th rounder. That's kind of the point, is whatever you want to say about the analytics department, I'm a little indifferent. Like, however it came about, if it was analytics, if it was the eye test scouting, I look at the Saints and what they've done in late rounds, mid-late rounds, and said, yeah. So I just kind of looked by comparison and went through Denver in the same time period, starting back in 2006, Sean Payton's first draft in New Orleans, and said, all right, let me look mid-late rounds and see what Denver did. I mean, Elmas Dumerville was a 4th rounder. I mean, you're going to roll through a lot of picks that you don't know who they are. Seth Olson, Sidquad Thompson was a seventh rounder. Julius Thomas was a fourth rounder. That's obviously a hit back in 2011. Malik Jackson was a fifth rounder in 2012. I guess my point is they're pretty few and far between to find the mid and late round hits in Denver over the same period. And a lot of that is just draft strategy, right? Like some teams, like the Saints are super aggressive. They trade a lot of picks to go up. Some teams are more willing to let the draft come to them or accumulate picks. Like if you look at the Denver's draft classes over that time period, the only player, if you go back to 2006, which was Sean Payton's first year in New Orleans, if you look for what players are still active in the NFL that were drafted by Denver in the same time period, the oldest player in the NFL, or the longest tenured, I should say, is Von Miller, who was taken in 2011. There's no player in the NFL drafted prior to 2011 in Denver that's still in the league. And then Derek Wolfe was 2012. None of their 2013 draft is still in the league. And then in 2014, it's Bradley Roby and Michael Schofield. That's it. The Saints have drafted better than Denver has. It's a big part of the reason why the Saints have had a longer tenure of success, and the Broncos had their all-in Super Bowl when they had that 3-year window with Peyton Manning. They were all in, went to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them. But outside of that, you've had these long stretches of, I don't want to say irrelevance, but of mediocrity is certainly a way to put it. I mean, the Broncos haven't been back to the playoffs since they won Super Bowl 50 with Peyton Manning and Von Miller in that squad. They were all in to win it. They won it, but the rest of the roster hasn't kept up or built up to that same time. So to circle back, I don't know necessarily that Sean Payton is throwing shade, but I also would say that if you're a Saints fan and you hear that, the evidence suggests that I don't give a damn how good your analytics department is. I can look at your draft results and say the Saints have objectively drafted better over the last 16 years than Denver has and had more on-field success as well. So I think a lot of people are wishing Sean Payton well. It's better that he's in the AFC than the NFC. But if I'm a Saints fan here today, I'm going into this draft feeling very good about the Saints draft today because they hit. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.